Hello guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we're going to learn static in Java. So what is static? Static is a keyword used in Java with the members as the function or methods or variables of a class so that we can call or access those members without using the object or instance of that class. It's simply, statics is a extra layer of, you can say, accessibility that can be used with your method or variable in a class. You can see statics. So static can be used with the variable or method. Here is an example. This is a class, test class, and here is a one method. It's called public static void go. And if you want to call this method now, since this method is static method, you can easily directly call this method just following class name, like test class name dot the method name. Okay, this is a very generic way to call a static method. It means like you can avoid to call this method, or you can using object reference of that class. So we already know that if you want to call any properties or method from a class, you can use object reference of that class, use the object reference and call this method. But in this case, if you have a static method, that time you can just call directly using a class name dot method name. Let's see an example, okay? And we'll also see the relationship between the static method and non-static method. Let me create one class, okay? I create a class, it's called a static demo, and then this is the main method. So in this class, let's create first of all, let's see then a variable, okay? I will create a variable. So let's public. So I will make a variable, say string. So I would say name equals to, say example, code inbox, okay? So this is a variable. So this is the public variable, right? It means if your variable is public, you can use within a class directly. That's no problem. But you can make this variable as a static over here, so using a static keyword. Okay, let's say that if I can, whether I can call this method, this variable from a different class. So example, here is my another class. So here I'm going to call this, this is static variable. Okay, the name is static variable to call this. So as I said, I can follow the format is like your class name dot your variable name, since this variable is static, right? So so this is your class name dot, you can see here is that, you can see there's the name it's showing over here, right? I can select the name here. Okay, so name it's, so this will directly call the name variable, which is the value is called code inbox, right? Now here you can put this one in another variable, is say new name, say new name equals to a string. Okay, so now this new name will assign the value of this. So this is like code inbox, so code inbox will be assigned to new name. So you can use this new name anywhere over here, right? So this is the way you can see you can directly call any static variable from even different class just following the class name dot the your static variable name. Okay, other than if I had to call this variable, if this was not static, then I had to use, if you can see, if I remove this, let me just remove this one. If I remove this, it will show me error over here. In that case, I have to create an object of this class. So I have to, it means, I have to create object of this class and then use the object reference to call that variable, right? Say example obj, and then this is the, this is the generic way to call any members. You can say now its name should be here. You can see name, right? Name should be here. See? So then you can call this, and then you can put in a variable. So maybe this one, copy this. Okay, so if you just put this one in a comment, so you see So if my variable was not static, then I had to use the object reference of that class and then use this object reference, call this variable, then put in another variable. So this is there is a two line. But if my variable is a static, if I use a static here, I can directly call this one following the class name dot your variable name. So this is the benefit of using the static keyword with your variable. Like, I don't have to use the object reference that time, right? So that's a variable. Now let's talk about a method. What's the benefit of the method? Number one, here, let's this is my main method for this, and let me just put a simple print statement. So I would say here, I would say example of static example of static component in Java. Okay. Now we're going to see the relationship. So this is my main method, right? This is my main method. Outside of the main method, let me create one method over here. Okay. Let me create a method. I would say public. I would say static method, public static void. So I would say my static method. Okay. So this is creating a static method. You will see, and then sys out. Inside that, I would say example of, let me say, static method. You know what I would say? Yeah, let's put it here. I would say example of a static method. Okay, now this is a static method, right? This is a static method. And now if I want to call this static method from another static method, like your main is a static method. Okay, this is, you can say main is a static method. So I'm calling from a static method to another static method. Let's see what's saying in our node. So we're saying that a static method can call direct another static method without object reference. So it means here is an rule number one. So from the main method, which is a static method, I'm going to call another static method, which is my static method, right? So directly. So this is the number one example. Static method can call another static method without object reference. It means I can just call this guy, this my static method over here, okay, directly. You can see there is no error. See, pretty nice, right? So if I just run it, you will see it will show me. Okay, here is it. So this is the inside the main method example of a static component in Java, and here is the calling this method directly. Here is the example of a static method, right? So that's the number one. And the number two would be static method. Let's see what's number two. Number two is a static method can call a non-static method using object reference of that class. Okay, let's go. Static method can call a non-static method. Non-static, let's create another non-static method. Okay, I'm going to create another non-static method. Okay, so let me create here. So it means non-static method is like a public method, right? Just a public method, not the static. I would say public, it's void. I would say my public method, public. Okay, and then let me put this, there is a one just print statement. Okay, now I can call, I'm saying that static method, what's the saying that static method can call a non-static method, which is just a public method using object reference. So now I want to call this method. This is a non-static method, which is just a regular public method. Okay. And I want to call this method from this static method. In that time, I have to create an object of this class, and use the object reference that I can call it, because I'm not able to call directly this method because this is not a static method. So in that time, I have to follow our regular process. New, this is a object reference. Okay, let's put an object reference here, create an object obj, and then this is the return of the class, right? So then obj dot, you can say I can easily call, it's called my public method. So this is a my public method, right? So that's a number 2. So number 2 is like, a static method can call a non-static method using object reference, right? So that's what number 2. Okay. And the number 3, let's see what's the number 3. Number 3 is a non-static method, which is just regular public method again, can call directly a non-static or a static method. Okay, directly. So it means, let me create another static non-static method. I'm going to create another non-static method. I will give a name, public void. My public method, I will just put it given 1. So I would say my public method 1 here. Okay, here, save it. And then from a non-static method, you can call. Okay, so it means here is, I'm putting the note here. It's from a non-static method or from a public method, you can call a public method as well as also a static method directly. So this is a one non-static method. You can call another non-static method directly. Just copy the the method name, and here is it. You can call directly. See, there's no error. And then also you can call a static method. So this is my static method. This is my static method. So you can call also directly static method here. Okay. Okay. So this is the number 3. So what we have learned, static is a keyword in Java that can be used with your variable as well as it can be used with your method. Here is example. This is my method. So if you, in general, if you have a static method or variable, you can call that method or variable for, to a different class just following the method name. You can call this method class name dot your method name. You can see if I want to call this a static method, this is my static method, even in a different class here, I can easily call here. Okay, let me show you. So this dot, you can see my static method, it shows here. You see, I can easily call. So just simply your class name dot your method name, or your class name dot your variable name, if those are static, right? And on the other hand, number 1, if your method is static method, and if you call this static method from another static method, you can directly call this method directly without even an object reference, without following your class name dot your method name. And then number 2, this is the relation between static and non-static. And number 2, your static method can call a non-static method using object reference. So this is follow the regular process. If you have a static method, you want to call a non-static method, that time you have to create an object of your class and use the object reference, call that non-static method, or your public method, regular public method. Now number 3, it's if you have a public non-static method, you can call your another non-static method or your static method directly without a object reference, right? So here is a this is a the public method 1, it's a non-static method. I'm calling another non-static method here directly, as well as the static method directly. Okay, those are the 3, you can say, rules or the relationship between static and non-static methods. Okay, I hope that you understood the benefits. Like most of the times we can avoid that using the object reference to call a method if those methods are static method, or for the variable, it's the same rules. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye.